Solo travel has a rhythm of its own, and it's not something that you understand until you feel it. There's that moment early in the trip, walking through a new airport or sitting on the metro a bit jet lagged on your way to your first hotel, and it hits you. I'm on my own here, and that's actually quite okay.
I'm in Dubai, partway to Bangkok, and I've had 6 hours here. And when I first arrived at 8 o'clock at night, the airport, which is huge and so clean, was almost deserted. I felt like I had the whole place to myself. I ended up paying a bit of money and going into a lounge and had a really nice meal, a latte, nice cake, a sleep, and even a massage in a massage chair. It was great. So my 6 hours in Dubai have been really good. I arrived at about 9 p.m. and that's when everything was empty. It's now 1 a.m. and the place is swarming. There are a lot of flights that go out of this airport between now and 4:30 a.m. and the place has become really busy. It's a hive of activity and I really love it.
What might start as a nervous flutter becomes a kind of quiet confidence. This isn't about being alone. It's about discovering a different version of yourself, more observant, more adaptable, ready to navigate on your own, and more open to whatever unfolds. Some people may worry that they'll look odd traveling alone, but after a day or two, the self consciousness fades. And the reality is, lots of people of all ages are traveling solo now. Traveling on your own gives you a freedom of not having to sync your pace with anyone else. Will I take a short nap? Or head out for a walk? Or how can I shape my day so there's room to adjust while still seeing the things that I hope to see? A couple of times in Bangkok, while I was waiting for a ferry, people asked me if I was actually traveling alone. They were a bit surprised when I said yes, and I could see them thinking, gee, I hope I'm still traveling when I reach this man's age. At least I like to think that's what they were thinking. It might just as easily have been, is he crazy? Early planning gives structure. Your first hotel, how you'll get from the airport, a few things that you'd like to see. But solo travel works best when the schedule isn't airtight. That flexibility lets you follow a side street or stay longer at a temple or head somewhere unexpected. One rainy day in Bangkok, I looked for an indoor activity and I ended up taking a cooking class. I learned a lot about Thai cuisine, made three delicious dishes that doubled as lunch, and had a good conversation with a classmate from England. When the class was over, we ended up walking for about 45 minutes back into town through the drizzle along the beach. It was a pleasant, unexpected encounter, completely serendipitous. A solo trip, especially a first one, is easier in a place with good transit, simple layout, and some shared language. Choose somewhere that you'll feel comfortable, but still excited to explore. The right destination lowers the mental load and leaves more room for discovery. There's also something liberating about walking out the door with only what you can comfortably carry. A small bag forces a kind of clarity, fewer decisions, fewer worries. Over the years, I've whittled down my luggage a lot. Even with a small carry on and a knapsack, I still end up with things I don't use. And where I once carried a digital SLR camera with a couple of lenses, now my iPhone gives me excellent photos. And travel logistics are so much easier than they used to be. No guidebooks, no paper maps, instant connection for Uber or Grab, quick searches for a nearby restaurant, translation, directions, everything on one device. If you're someone who worries a little bit about security, solo travel actually sharpens the senses a bit. Not in a fearful way, just being attentive. You scan a street before committing to it. You sit where you can see the room. You keep your valuables close at hand. Over time, it becomes second nature, part of the confidence that grows when you travel alone. Every once in a while, I find myself wandering down a street as dusk settles in. I enjoy that atmosphere, but I remind myself to stay aware, and sometimes I turn back towards a busier area. Being pickpocketed is probably the most common security risk. And ironically, it's more likely to happen in a crowded train station than on a quiet, secluded street. Now, solo travel doesn't mean silence. Some of the best moments come from a 2-minute chat with someone you'll never see again, a vendor, a waiter, another traveler. These small exchanges anchor you to the place more than you really expect. On my last trip to Thailand, I met people from all over the world. My advice is don't wait for someone else to initiate. A simple question or comment usually opens the door. And 90% of the time, people respond warmly, and you know that they're open to chatting. And if the response is abrupt, well, you can tell that they're busy or not in the mood, and that's just fine. There's something deeply satisfying about having a day shaped only by your own curiosity. A quiet museum gallery, a late morning coffee, a walk without a destination. These moments become reflections, and they're often what solo travelers remember the most. One morning in Bangkok, I wandered through the Talat Noi neighborhood. I stopped at a cafe for a coffee, and the fellow at the next table turned out to own a vinyl record store nearby. We had a great chat, and he pointed me toward a few interesting spots in the neighborhood. A simple pause, a conversation, and a sense of direction for the rest of the morning. Routines can form naturally on a solo trip. The same cafe, an evening walk along the river, a restaurant near your accommodation where the staff begin to recognize you and you like their menu. These touch points make a new place feel familiar surprisingly quickly. Capturing something, a thought, a scene, a sound, becomes a companion of sorts when you travel alone. I used to write longer blogs, but now I mostly capture photos and videos on my phone. In the evenings, back in my room, I review the day, edit photos, and share a few on Instagram and YouTube. And I know I'll enjoy these images for years to come. Visual reminders of places explored and time well spent. Now, every solo trip does have a few bumps. A missed connection, a wrong turn, a meal that doesn't sit quite right. These moments rarely ruin a trip, but they teach you something. They become stories that you'll tell later, and they build confidence that you can actually handle the next day. I've shared a few of these hiccups in my Thailand videos, but for a particularly memorable one, check out my story about getting lost in the Italian Alps. I'll link it at the end of this video. In the end, solo travel feels less like a challenge and more like an invitation to be curious, to slow down, to trust yourself. The destination matters, but the real shift happens inside. If someone is thinking about trying solo travel for the first time, the best advice is simple. Start small, stay open, and let the journey introduce you to yourself in a new way. Safe travels. See you next time.